Okay, that's enough of that. I go a little heavy on my intros. Hey, it's the Expert Layman. How you doing? Did a lot of sorts. Ended up my 8-hour shift turned into an 11-hour shift, but I was damned if I'm not going to stream tonight because I didn't stream last night. Um, just give me a second to check my stream here. Should be pretty good. I have not touched anything, but you know how the freaking well, I guess maybe you don't, but the OBS, I swear OBS has gremlins. And they will just go in and screw around with your settings. But it looks like my stream's doing okay. Close this, and get into a game. Yes, the topic, generally, I just wanted something to talk about. It's something I actually care a lot about, because I love comedy, and I particularly love stand-up comedy. And of the stand-up comedy, the masters, the greats, I think they perform a critical role in society that is undervalued. They have a way of there are uncomfortable truths that we all kind of carry around as like individual burdens, and what a good comedian can do is take something that like you had some thought that you don't. I think a good example is I'm not going to credit comedians here because I try not to make this about individuals, but there's a joke that's just hysterical that or a bit, whatever you'd call it, that like whenever when you have a kid, you know, and you're living with the other parent, it can be hard to find intimate time, especially early on when they're still a baby, and it's normal when things get in the way of things that are important to you to carry a little bit of resentment for the thing getting in the way, even if it's a baby. So, let's see if I can clean this up a little bit. High quality players tonight. Awesome pass. He kind of captured this in a moment of like frustration on stage, and it turned into a bit. To where he's like, "Oh, I got this new board, and it's so hard to find, you know, intimate time with you know, with my wife." And it's like, thought I was getting some, and then I hear in the next room a baby crying, and it was my turn, so I went in and. But can you work with me here? I'm trying to. Your mom, like. I'm doing a bad job of like somebody else's comedy, but like when parents hear that, because parents will carry guilt about like having like thoughts that, you know, good people shouldn't have. But like when you do that in front of a crowd and there's parents in there and they've had this feeling of like feeling bad for resenting, you know, their kid, and then you find, oh, that's just some, you know, that it's normal to have that feeling. You're not a bad person for it. And I think that's some of the utility of comedians. And I have some other examples, but I think I'll do as bad a job at retelling the jokes as I just did. So, and I'm worried about comedy because it's not something that you can do on your own. They can only work these bits out, and, you know, they're kind of like shaman working, like crowdsourcing wisdom from the audience. Oops. Oh, I'm terrible. And if they can't do the work in front of an audience, they can't create stand-up comedy. It just doesn't work that way. And, you know, with the way things are now, like, I'm worried. Because, you know, I was talking to a friend at work today, and he's like, well, there's so much comedy out there, you know? And I'm like, well, yeah, here's the analogy I used. I said, like, yeah, there's plenty of gold in circulation, but all the mines are closed. Like, you're not going to be getting anything new. And I'm kind of concerned about that. Because we're used to having like tons and tons of comedy specials available to us. And those are going to dry up. You can't create an hour special if you don't ever get in front of an audience. And I'm not like thinking, I'm not saying that, we should be doing things differently. Like, I'm kind of a solution. I like to be solution oriented. If I'm going to complain about something, I should at least try to have something productive to add to it. So sometimes, like when I'm at work, one way to pass the time is just think about stuff. Often inspired by books I'm listening to and stuff like that. But like, what would a venue look like? What would a venue that was designed to prevent, to keep people from infecting each other with whatever? What would that venue look like? Well, we know a couple things about, bacteria and viruses and our current issue. And one thing that is really good at wiping out basically anything that's alive is ultraviolet light. And our current dilemma, or our current invader, is super... Whoops. Susceptible to ultraviolet light. How was I going to do this? I'm trying to remember, because like I build these ideas, I play around with it just like randomly while I'm at work or thinking about other stuff. So I end up building like this model, but then I have like no entry point to start describing it. So I think that was classic. I think the best way to do this, and hopefully I have enough remaining faculties, is just kind of describe the experience of like what the end user, somebody going to a comedy show in this venue, like what they would experience, how that would go. So it'd start off, the venue would have their own app. That would kind of be a must. And you find as, you got the app, you want to go to a comedy show, like, before you can even buy the tickets, they have some reading, because there's... So, you'd have to... Or you can get your tickets. You not only have to read a bunch of stuff about how you're supposed to conduct yourself at the facility or the venue, but they'll actually test you, because you can't afford mistakes on this. Like, again, we're trying to do a venue where there is basically zero risk of audience members infecting each other. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this at the same time. Essentially, you use the... maybe I'll just take a break here and just talk. We'll get to the thing first. You would basically buy your tickets, and that you'd either... Nope, didn't put enough thought into this. Essentially, you could use ultraviolet light and ventilation to isolate tables. I guess you call it tables, but seat clusters you could call it. The one thing is you really couldn't afford to have too many single seats because of the space required. And to be honest, not that many people go to comedy shows by themselves. They're usually going in groups of 2 or 3 or 4. And that's probably what most of the seating should be. But you'd have to agree that, in the app, that like whoever you were going with, you either cohabitate with that person or they're an intimate partner. To make sure that audience, this isn't a place to, meet up with family you haven't seen in a while. The venue would have a high responsibility for making sure that nobody's getting infected, because that's kind of the point of this whole thing. And so you'd have to say yes, they cohabitate, or it's my intimate partner. And then when the day came for the show, you'd be on the app. It would tell you, okay, you are assigned this parking spot. It seems weird, but they'll all be numbered. And as you arrived and you pull into the spot, you get a notification because, a car just pulled into that spot, and it basically sends you a picture of your car. Like, is this you? Because, people are dumb. They make mistakes. And you say yes, and then they'll give you an ETA of when is going to be your turn to walk up to the building, because you also can't have people standing in lines. So when your time comes up, it tells you, and then you have lots of doors on the outside of the building, and they're all automated. So that when your time comes up, you walk up to a particular door. This keeps people well apart from each other, and nobody's standing in line. You get to the door, and if you have the phone out in the app and stuff, it will let you in. And then I imagine a room which is like a plexiglass room inside a larger room. And the reason for this is you can put bays, arrays of ultraviolet lights on the outside. So after each group comes through, you can effectively sterilize the place after each use. That room, they would also, make sure that you didn't have any light, any clothing that would reflect too much of the ultraviolet light, and bring it into the visible spectrum, like no whites, no yellows. Basically, black or dark colors is all you could really wear in there, and they could confirm that. This would also give you this would also be the place where you would put your phone in a storage device and pick it up on the way out, or anything else. And if you're dressed appropriately and everything, eventually the door will open up and it will basically show you to your seat. I imagine, you can do lights on the floor or something like that. And that would be like the same as coming from the parking lot. You'd space them out. You'd show them where to go. Nobody comes within any significant distance from each other. In fact, the closest they ever get to each other is when they're sitting down. And when you have we'll call them tables, what you could really do is just basically put an intake vent under the table. And if you focus it right, you essentially create a wind barrier around the table, but the people at the actual table wouldn't feel much wind. Most of the air movement would be outside of the table. And, people can design these things, and you'd have that under each table. So we all walk around, like, I don't know if you know Pigpen from Peanuts, cartoon character. But basically, we all walk around with like this bacteria cloud. And most of that really isn't a problem, but like any moisture coming out of your mouth or nose could be, potentially transmitting. So once you're sitting at your tables, like the ultraviolet light is invisible. So you could basically have the place pretty well flooded with ultraviolet light. You got like individual ventilation for each table by, and if you do this right, you could get a lot of people into a place with virtually zero risk of, spreading any kind of infection. And this would be ridiculously expensive to build, but can you really put a price on being the only game in town? The other thing about this location, the other thing that I'm presenting a rather extreme example, like at the far end of being, stringent and as careful as possible. What actually might occur would obviously be somewhere between what we're doing now and kind of the extreme thing I'm presenting. Oh, shoot, where was I going? Oh, you would have no food, no drinks, no bathrooms, no service staff at all. The only staff on location would be like, sound guys and, light guys and, basically the people. And I'm sure a few people at a control room just kind of observing what's happening. But, that also reduces a vector for infecting other people. And it's like, yeah, I'm removing a lot of the things that make, an entertainment venue fun. But again, you want to start off with the most extreme version and then dial it back. And if you need to leave the room for any reason, then your whole group needs to leave. There's no like coming in and going out. Like, I think you could do it. And I think if somebody built one of these in a major city, you could charge a lot and people will pay it. It'd just be the initial outlay. Oh, there is like nobody playing right now. I just don't want to see stand-up comedy die. And we're not going to be able to... This is one of those things that like you won't really see the effects of it for a little while. And if the current situation continues and comedians can't work on their craft, it's going to hit us later. Excuse me. I need to learn to find my mute button. But that was just kind of the idea. Like I'm concerned. I think comedians are really important and really helpful. Oh yay, 2 bots. I waited this long for 2 bots. Woohoo! Of course it is fun because you can kind of work with bots. Like, people tend to underestimate them. That was kind of ugly. Go Tusk. That was a nice little pass. Wow. There's like no... I don't think that was an accident at all. Like, mistakes don't normally go perfectly in the other team's direction. Like, oh, and you got a guy running around. Yeah. I can see where this is going. I'm not sticking around for a run-up game because people are being sabos. I guess I got through that faster than I thought, but I don't know. No outline, no script, just like, I really needed to stream tonight. I didn't stream last night. I was supposed to. I'm trying to get on the schedule where, you know, I do an abstract animation set to a popular song, and then some other project, maybe not. And then I'll do 1 stream a week. And I'm trying to do that, and getting stuck at work till 3 in the morning didn't help a whole lot. This is weird. I usually don't have to wait this long. Oh, let me check. Sure everything's going right. Oh, looks good. Okay, we're gonna have a good game here. No sabos, no sabos, no sabos. Thought I could get it over him. I need to get my MMR back down again. I'm playing with people that are a little too good. Or a little bit too much better than me. I mean, I got my moments, but I feel a lot more like Master Roshi. Like, somehow I'm staying in competition against people that are 10 times faster than me. But it is interesting, like, when I get to these higher brackets, like, it's so much easier to predict what people are going to do. They're just they're more consistent, but they're also more predictable. But as people get better, it gets harder to spot the sabos. Because the sophistication with which it manifests goes up as, you know, people's skill level goes higher. There's more gray areas to hide in. Okay, well, I guess I'll just go get a boost down here. Oh, that didn't work out. Well, usually people late at night are a little bit nicer and more cooperative. But you know, you can get garbage people at any time. I don't know. Maybe I'm judging too quickly here.
A lovely header.
Luckily, I'm a little annoyed at being stuck at work so long, so I can tolerate a little more toxicity than if I was in a really good mood. It is weird. Like I have to be like, if I'm in a really good mood, I can't. Drive by, drive by. Yeah, I think this is just the quality of the people I'm going to see at this time of night. And, yes, I'm working towards getting out of here. Shoot, sorry, different screen. Yeah, I've only been going for like 20 minutes, but I'm gonna call this a success. I sort of stumbled my way through the topic, and I played a couple of games. So I'm gonna call that a victory. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more with my what are supposed to be Tuesday night streams on Wednesday, but oh well. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all have a great day.